Okay, welcome to our fourth class for the circles unit. This will be a short class. I'm just assigning the mid-unit review and talking a little bit about it. So, mid-unit review is on page 403. We are doing 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7. And it'll be worth 15 marks. Pardon my French scribbling here. 15 marks is what it's worth. Alright, so with no further ado, then let's go over the exercises for the mid-unit review. It'll be a short lesson, but it'll take you some time to get the review done. The first question here, determine each value of x and y. Which circle properties did you use? Just show your work. Show all the work that you did. And that indicates exactly which properties you used. Here we have an x and a y. You should recognize immediately that this here on the edge of the circle is a tangent. Hint, hint. It's going to form a right angle, and we already know an angle. So our old friend, 180 minus, right? Here we have an x and a y again, and we know that this triangle here has a right angle right there, as does this one, right? Because it's coming from the center of the chord center of the circle out to a tangent. And then once we know that this one's a 44, this one's a 57, and we can simply use that information, knowing that these are 90s, to find x and y. So 1 is a very easy question. Show your work. 2. Here we're dealing with our old friend Pythagoras to find the length of A here. This is a 6, this is a 12, this is the long side. So when you know the long side, when the long side of the triangle is one of your known sides, you have to subtract. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, right? But you know C, so you'll be subtracting. 3 we're not doing. 4. Point O is the center of the circle. Determine the value of M. Once again, we've got a triangle inscribed here, and you should recognize this is a perpendicular bisector. This is cutting a chord into two parts, right? This is a chord of a circle. This is the center, so the line coming down here is a perpendicular bisector, and a perpendicular bisector always does a particular thing. It's always 90 degrees. So this is 71, this is 90. Once you have that information, you subtract, and there's angle M right there. Number 5. Point O is the center of each circle. Determine each value of x. Here we have x. It's a chord, but we don't know the length of the chord. But we can see if O is the center of the circle, then this line right here is your perpendicular bisector. So it is splitting that chord into two halves. Knowing that information, we have a triangle here, right triangle, where we can use Pythagoras again. Here we have a 5, here we have an 11. So I'm going to solve this triangle to find this unknown side here. And once I've done that, I'm just going to double it, because it's a perpendicular bisector splitting it exactly in half, this triangle here, or one line of the triangle. So I solve for this side, and I just have to double it, and there I have it. What are we doing here? Here we're solving for x, which is this side here. We have a chord here that's 10, but we have a perpendicular bisector coming up here. So what is this short side going to be? Up here? Take a pencil here. I can do this. I can create a right triangle right here. So there's my unknown side right there. Here I have a perpendicular bisector. And given that the whole thing is 10, what's half of it going to be? Think about that. Here the diameter is 16. And isn't this guy a radius? Going from the center out to point N? Isn't he a radius? Hint, hint. And once you have all that information figured out, use Pythagoras. And away you go. Seven. Last question for this one. I believe we have a freeze. Oh, there we go. 7. Last question. Water is flowing through a pipe with a radius of 14 centimeters. The maximum depth of the water is 9 centimeters. What is the width, PQ, of the surface of the water? PQ all the way across. Right there. So, depth of water is 9. This is 14. I'd say there's a triangle here, so we should be able to solve for this side of the triangle and then just double it. So take a look. We already know this side. It's a radius of 14. We know that there's a 9 here, so how can we find the short little side of the triangle up above the water? Think about that. Hint? From here, from O, all the way down to the bottom of the water is also a radius. Does that give you any ideas? All right. That is your mid-unit review on page 403. Again, you're doing 1, 2, 4, and 7, and it's worth 15 marks. That's it for this recording.